Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mega Gamecast. We're back, Season 2, we can call it, I guess. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus, and we're horny for some video games.
Horny.
Well, okay. Today we have Drew.
What up, guys?
Cy.
What's up, everybody?
And Redbeard.
How's it going?
All
His
right.
beard's still red.
Yeah, beard's still red. You can't see it at home, but we're not lying to you. Yeah.
It's been like our 1 year anniversary, pretty much.
Yeah, it's coming up. I think it already passed, actually.
I think it passed like a couple days ago.
Yeah,
but I actually got the notification on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
when you first posted our podcast.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. When Cy did his infamous Batman review.
Yes.
It's still holding up.
Yeah, the most famous Batman review. So, kind of a lot's happened since we've last recorded. Despite all of that, I think we're probably covering some issues that have happened in the past couple of weeks, regardless. Yeah. Summer's not exactly a super busy time for announcements and stuff like that, but there have been some games that have come out and some trailers that have been released for some beloved franchises.
Oh, yeah.
That we'd like to talk a little bit about. For instance, the favorite shooter of 2015, the stealth action game that everybody loved, is getting a sequel in 2017, Metal Gear Survive.
Woo!
Doo-dah day.
Yeah, exactly what everybody wanted out of a sequel to Metal Gear Solid 5. A co-op zombie survival game set in an alternate dimension.
In the Metal Gear Solid universe,
Yes.
of course, Ryan.
Of course, in the Metal Gear Solid universe. So if you haven't seen it, this trailer, something else.
Ignore it.
Yeah. Opens with some randos from the Mother Base assault from Ground Zeroes getting sucked up into a portal of some sort and then thrown into some sort of alternate dimension where there are these weird zombies with shit coming out of their head.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to call these things.
I don't know.
Like they're going to come up with
I don't
some
know. It looks
weird
like
name.
a mix between. It looks like a mix between Resident Evil, The Last of Us, and a couple other games like thrown into one.
It kind of reminds me of the Walking Dead survival game too.
Oh, God.
In essence,
Yeah.
no, and it looks like Walking Dead and just in general too. I mean, you can see the fact that they're spiking. I mean, they're using spears to spike these zombie alien whatever you call it, like right through the fence. And it's all about and again you rely on teamwork to survive in this post-apocalyptic universe, I guess, is the best way to describe it.
I guess the point here is that all zombie games kind of look the same.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, the zombies may change, but the games never do.
No.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're always trying to kill the zombies. There's no like, hey, the zombies are nice.
Yeah.
And
How come we never get to play as the zombies?
yeah,
That'd be a cool take, dude, if you got to be the zombies taking out the people.
No, there was a game where you did get to play as a zombie. That's not. It was released a while ago. I'll have to take a look at it to remind my.
Yeah, wasn't there like a mode in Left 4 Dead where you could play as the zombies?
Not even that. It's hold on. I'll have to let me try to find the name of the game, and I'll try to tell you guys what it is and what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I mean, we all knew that Konami was going to do something with Metal Gear. They weren't just going to let it sit there or just turn it into pachinko machines. I mean, they're going to do that too, which they already have. But
wait, Ryan, I found what it is. It's called Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pause.
Okay. So, yeah, it's like we knew they were going to do something, and we didn't know exactly what. We hoped that it would be, deep down, we hoped that it would be something that would be at least in vein with like continuing the story or filling in some story that we haven't seen yet in the Metal Gear universe. But this is kind of like the ultimate
Slap in the
cash
face.
grab. Yeah, it doesn't.
It is. No, it reeks of that, Ryan. I mean, it just shows that they couldn't think. They were trying to cash on the success of the previous Metal Gear game, and they couldn't find a story good enough to suit the franchise. So,
Well,
and a
the
lot of
5 was supposed to be the end, wasn't it? Technically, wasn't that supposed to be the end of the Metal Gear story?
Yeah, I mean it
At
kind
least
of
Kojima's story.
it
but-
bridged a gap that
Yeah.
was missing, but there's still a lot of other gaps in the storyline.
There's so much they could do, so much potential.
I mean, just about every Metal Gear was supposed to be the last Metal Gear.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, there could still be stories to tell in that universe. I just think it was probably like, hey, we spent a whole lot of money on Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. It took years to develop, and we built this entire engine. We don't really want to spend a whole lot of money on this game, this Metal Gear Survive, so let's just make it as simple as possible. Simple premise, probably no like notable voice actors or story to really talk about. Probably not even spending too much money on cutscenes and stuff like that. And get as much money as we can. Probably full of microtransactions and all that sort of bullshit.
Well, it looks very multiplayer focused, which is kind of different, I guess, for Metal Gear in general. Like
there was the Metal Gear Online.
which didn't really go over too well.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't mind the whole freaking multiplayer aspect of being Metal Gear. Bringing more players into it. But it kind of like you guys said, it's probably going to be a bunch of microtransactions. It's just a way to make a little bit of money, and I think they're just trying to ride the horse that they got big from.
Yeah.
And I think they should just come up with their own idea and create something new. They fired the guy who created the game, and they're riding off his coattails, even though he's not there anymore. Just get your own fucking ideas. I mean, seriously.
Well, I mean,
no,
I guess
because what they're doing is selling out the fan base short, I feel, if this is exactly the type of game that they're trying to put out. I mean, a co-op game, I mean, they're just trying to loosely affiliate themselves with Metal Gear. They're not adding anything to the story. They're just adding things to the action. I just think it's hollow, if anything, and I just think it's an insult to the fan base. Ryan, I don't know if you agree with me on that, but...
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen... Yeah, it's kind of an insult. I wouldn't say it's probably intentional insult, but it's. I look at that and that's nothing I want to play.
I can say you won't see a review from me.
Yeah, it's interesting because the gameplay in Metal Gear Solid 5 is really good.
Yeah, it's probably the highest.
No, it's one of the
praise
best I've ever played, Ryan. It was on my top 5 game list.
But this game doesn't look like it capitalizes on what made that game really great, which was like clockwork stealth and sneaking up and tagging an entire base and then trying to infiltrate it and get to some objective. This looks like you're going to be in the middle of some sort of facility and waves of zombies are going to be coming at you and you're going to have to defend yourself. Like, that's not...
Like another Dead Rising.
Yeah, when the heat turned up in Metal Gear Solid 5, and you started having to take out all sorts of enemies and shit like that, that wasn't where that game shined. It was in, like I said, meticulously figuring out how to get into these bases and
using your own smarts, using all the tools at your disposal.
Exactly.
Right.
And learning the environments too. You'd return to different places and you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that guy there, so I know I got to watch out for him and stuff like that. And it wasn't about, in fact, the worst moments in that game were where they took that stuff away and just threw enemies at you.
Yeah,
and you had to resort to your guns and whatever stuff you probably weren't spending a whole lot of time researching on because you were focusing on stealth.
Right, and Ryan, just to take it a step further, I mean, I don't know why if this was something like a side game, like Call of Duty has a zombie-based game mode. I mean, if they did something like that, I mean, maybe we'd be more open to it. But the fact that it's a standalone co-op survival game just seems to be bastardizing like the Metal Gear Solid series. I think that's what we can all summarize it to be.
Yeah, I think if it was part of... Well, I guess it kind of is. They're insinuating that it's in the same universe with making the V and Survive kind of look like a V for 5. I don't know. It's really weird. Like,
I mean, if it was like DLC for 5, that'd be one thing. But like Sai said, they're trying to market it as like a brand new.
I wish they'd take it completely out of Metal Gear Solid 5 universe, because they have the beginning of the trailer opens with the destruction of Mother Base, so that kind of like insinuates that it's taking place in the same universe, but then they totally pull you out of it by bringing you through this time warp or whatever. And so why even have that connection to it? It doesn't...
Right. And what's symbolic about that trailer, Ryan, is that you see Snake just taking off on the helicopter. So Keith Sutherland isn't going to come by and save you anymore.
Yeah, Snake.
Assuming
Snake
that he would even reprise his
just...
role. Snake left his group, left his soldiers and retreated.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of saying something even worse about Snake, because Snake is always very loyal to his guys, and now he's just leaving them while the home base gets destructed. I mean, isn't the captain supposed to go down with his ship? I mean,
well, that's what he's saying. He's like, I'm getting away from this dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So it's symbolic right there.
That's Kojima.
I was gonna say that's symbolic of Kojima right there.
That's Kojima saying, I don't want any part of this shit. You guys go ahead.
Konami really had a chance to kind of like gain some more, I don't know,
good PR.
Yeah, that they lost from like, the media and the fan base, especially with all this Kojima stuff, and what they're doing is the exact opposite, it seems. So
yeah,
I'm actually very surprised that they're even doing this, because I remember a press conference with the president of this company saying, we're not going to be doing these type of games anymore. We're going straight to mobile games.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that they're bringing out this game, and that was one of the reasons they stated why Kojima left. Hey, I don't want this guy because we're not going to be doing this type of game anymore. We're moving straight to a mobile-based platform, so that it seems like that's where more of the money is. So why would you come out with a game riding off this, like I said, riding off this guy's coattails of an idea if that's not what you wanted to do? It seems like they butted heads. He didn't want to listen to him, and now he's trying to make something from this other guy's idea. It's the same thing you see all over with everything. Nobody comes out with an original idea of their own.
Yeah, it's very rare these days.
Right,
yeah,
Kojima
use somebody else's.
Right, Kojima did not want to see Metal Gear Solid Go on the iPhone, so.
Yeah,
I don't blame him. I wouldn't want it on it.
Oh hell no!
Either.
It's a stupid no. It would be It would be a completely asinine idea.
It turns out that mobile games make a lot of money, and so do co-op shooter games with microtransactions. Also make a lot of money, and I just think it's like hey, we spend a lot of money on Metal Gear. We have this engine. We have this thing that can loosely be turned into something else that could possibly be a cash cow for this generation of gamer that's coming up with like, hey, this is a real cheap game. I can pick it up and then, I got my parents' credit card and I'm going to buy all of these perks and shit.
Well, that's the thing.
Is that an admission, Ryan? Are you admitting something on our podcast that your parents shouldn't hear?
No.
What the
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Okay, Elvis.
I have a tendency to buy the deluxe versions of everything because I don't want to miss out on something that might be in the game. And sometimes you end up with nothing at all for buying this, and sometimes you end up with a lot of stuff. And it beats paying, like you stated, the microtransactions left and right. Sometimes it costs more to buy all the extra stuff separately than it does to buy that one-time price.
And most of these things are like one-time use, so you're like, you want to buy it over and over again because you use it, and then you're like, oh, that made the game a lot better, so I'm gonna buy it again.
I don't buy the stuff that like gives you 5,000 credits to get a better No, I don't do that crap. I usually end up buying the stuff that's all right. You get an extra story or an extra mission. Whatever it might be, that it'll be better for you,
Yeah.
Yeah, just this game kind of seems a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah, pretty much.
It
it's
does.
just like you said, it's a cash grab.
Yeah.
They're using the Metal Gear name, and it has zombies, and zombies sell sadly these days. So
yeah,
that's all any game has been lately: is survival and zombies, and just
we'll get to that in a little bit.
I like. I like co-op shooters as much as I like shooters as much as the next person, but I'm getting tired of all the survival games. I want something that actually gains my interest that isn't just like everything else out there.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with gaming in general right now. So
Speaking of unnecessary,
Yeah, they're running out of bed, man. You got like
speaking of unnecessary, PlayStation 4 Slim.
shit.
A 250
What's the purpose?
gigabyte gaming console.
Wait, what? It's
Now-
500, bro.
Yeah.
200. No, I read it was 250 gigabytes.
Well, you're reading the wrong thing.
No,
then.
it's not.
So even if it is just it's not 250 and it's 500, what is the purpose in buying this console?
It's got to
the-
be
the-
cheaper. It's gonna have to be.
Yeah, it'll
It
probably
might
be
be.
cheaper.
$50?
So
$50
these
cheaper?
Either that or
pictures of this thing showed up on some Craigslist or
Yeah.
eBay or something like that. So somehow somebody acquired these things early.
yeah.
You know, no official announcement from Sony or anything like that. You could check out online and
Somebody
get
got
pictures of
fired.
these things. It looks kind of like it looks
Kind
like
of looks like
a
it
square
kind of looks like
sandwich.
an Apple TV, Ryan.
It
That's what
does.
looks like.
Yes, it does look a lot like an Apple TV. It looks like two Apple TVs stacked on top of each other. Because it has
That's
it,
fun.
it keeps kind of the aesthetic of the PlayStation 4, where it's got like a top part, then
Yeah.
a skinnier middle part, and then a bottom. It's not like slanted like the PlayStation 4 is.
It just looks
and-
like someone sat on a PlayStation 4 and squished it.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
It kind of does look like that.
And made it straight, not like an angled type
Yeah.
thing.
And it seems to have actual physical buttons on it, which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as someone who absolutely hates capacitive buttons, I'm looking forward to that. I hope that's the way people go in the future with redesigning their consoles, is actually putting physical buttons on it, because you just hit those accidentally all the
Yeah.
time. With the PlayStation 4, I have a hard time like even hitting it sometimes, because it's like it's this tiny little slit. I don't know. Whatever.
No, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so
yeah.
sometimes it's hard to
Yeah.
turn on the front of the console.
Yeah, I barely ever use those buttons. I use the controller.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I usually use a
90%
controller.
of the time. But
So yeah, I mean it's a redesign, and not a whole lot is known yet because it hasn't been officially announced by Sony for some reason. I don't know how you can let these things get out and without coming out and saying like, hey, we're going to talk about, at least admitting.
I think it just shows the miscommunication with Sony in general that's
Yeah.
going on.
Probably.
And there's probably people either in the company or I don't know. Somehow people are able to get these out of the factory or warehouse and sell them on whatever Craigslist, eBay.
Yeah.
Like
Here comes the question. Now I'm looking at this thing. Now, does it have the ability to change the hard drive like you do with the original one?
Yeah,
Are you
I heard
able
that
to
there's
upgrade it?
there's an easy way to take the hard drive out and put a new one in.
So is this one supposedly easier than the other one?
I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, because Sony hasn't said anything, so we don't really know much.
exactly.
From what little I read about that, there is a way to get into it and take the hard drive out. I don't know if it's like a slot on the back of the console that you can just pop the hard drive out, or if it's like the way you have to do it now, where you pop part of the top off and have to replace it. But it does have a replaceable hard drive that's at least as easy to get to as it is now.
And that's the benefit to one of these things, is being able to plug and play.
Yeah. So I guess the question is like right now we don't know for sure,
Yeah.
but what if is there going to be any additional features with this, because it's the one that they have the pictures of is a 500 gigabyte hard drive.
Yeah, which is
Drew, you said that might not have the optical port.
yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Like
I think I heard that too.
I've heard multiple sources saying no because they saw the back of it or whatever and
No
yeah.
optical port. So if you already have a PlayStation 4, which a lot of people do,
Yeah.
what really is the benefit of this if there's really no additional features? to
My
it?
opinion, honestly, like it seems like maybe this might be the new standard PS4
Okay.
and the day one edition is going to end up going away.
Yeah.
That'll be the standard. Because you got to think they still have this Neo in the works too.
Well, yeah, that's
like,
the other thing.
That's this whole thing with all these machines right now is so crazy. Like same thing with Microsoft.
Yeah.
And I also think that Sony like kind of planned on going the traditional Slim route. You know, Slims for PlayStations in general they don't really add anything big. It's just a slimmed down, cheaper to make version.
Yeah.
You know?
Usually.
And
Yep.
Microsoft has come out with their Slim, and obviously it has more beneficial features like the 4K streaming and this and that. So, I don't know. I think Sony probably doesn't want to talk about it because they're probably in the process of redesigning it themselves, because Microsoft kind of has them beat to the punch right now as far as like that kind of stuff
those
goes.
kinds of things
Yeah.
anyway.
But
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so like the Xbox S has some like upscales to 4K and has HDR, which is like if your TV supports it, like better blacks or something like that. That's what I understand. It's even a little bit faster, like a tiny little. Some games are getting a better frame rate, but it's nothing to write home.
yeah,
about.
like 11 frames.
Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah.
And they didn't take any. Well, I guess they took the connect port off. But
Yes.
I think we can all understand why they did that.
Yeah, I guess if you have the Kinect already, you can.
Yeah, there's like a very complicated USB adapter that you
they'll
can
send
get.
to you.
Yeah, I saw it. It's like there's a bunch of wires. It's not just like an inline solution. It's
Probably
like
buy.
it has to be plugged in itself.
Yeah.
Like it has to have another power jack.
I'm looking. I can see you guys now. I was looking at the back of the Slim. From everything everybody's showing, and yeah, it is missing that. It is
Optical port.
missing the little digital audio optical out.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's kind of a
in
big
which-
deal.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a big deal for any type of game developer, or not game, headset developers, because a lot of their stuff requires that in order to get the good quality audio to come out of there.
Yeah.
Even
like
though
Astro, I know
that's comes
Astros
out.
and Turtle
Yeah,
Beaches
Astro
all need
does
that.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, this deters me from it, because I use the Astro, A50 headset, so
Yeah.
it kind of deters me from wanting to purchase something like this. I mean, it'd have to be boom out of the box, wow something, in order for me to want to get it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it does look like it's got more ports though, for USB.
Oh, USB
So-
ports on the back?
It looks like it's on the front, but I could be wrong.
I just want one USB port on the back so I can leave my controller charger plugged in all the time.
yeah, that'd be cool.
I bought a separate extra thing that just uses one port, and I can bring up and put anywhere else. So, but the problem is you can't exchange the type of cord it uses. So whatever comes with it as far as length.
I don't know. I just think it's unnecessary, really. Like the PS4 is already like slim as it is. It's already got a nice, sleek looking design. Well, that's what most
Exactly.
people think anyway. Like, and they already like if you're gonna have like 3 different plus the VR, dude. Like that's like 4 different products on the shelf at once.
Yeah,
It's just gonna confuse consumers.
It's really all going to come down to when Neo is going to come out, because we already know that there's something. They've already come out and said very briefly that they are working on something that is a little bit better than the current PlayStation 4. When is that going to come out? Is that going to come out alongside this PlayStation Slim and PlayStation VR in
Dude,
October?
that'd be, I don't know. That'd be crazy.
That's a ton of like Drew said, a ton of new hardware on the store
All
shelf.
at once. It's like that. How
How
are
do
you
you-
gonna explain that to?
Yeah, how do you work that messaging? How do you say? How do you make it clear that you need this, you need this, you need this, but you don't need this. You kind of need this.
Because the VR is technically supposed to work with all the PS4s.
Yeah.
So you can't just say, oh well, it'll work with that, but if you buy this, it'll work way better. So
I hope that's not what it's going to end up being.
I don't know, man. I'm nervous about it. But I don't know, and I'm also hearing Neo is not gonna come out till like next year too. But these are all still rumors.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be
Right,
surprised.
and I was just about to say, keep in mind, we only have seen a photo and basic limited information on the PS4 Slim. I think we still need to wait and come out and see what Sony is going to present for us. And who knows? Do you think, Ryan, that this thing could be a fraud too?
It's
Or do you
possible.
think there's any possible information on that?
What's the
I
purpose
don't-
of coming out with a Slim though? If you're already coming out with like the Neo, what's the purpose?
That's
what we're
my
asking.
thing.
I mean, you
See,
can
that's
ask the
my
same
thing.
question about Microsoft, though. Like, why come out with that Slim when you have the Scorpio in the pipeline? You know.
Yeah, but I mean that's
Well,
that's
the
a year
Scorpio
down
could
the
be
road,
2
though.
years down the road.
Yeah.
Though,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Whereas
it's different
the
than
Neo
like,
is supposed to be coming out like right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
You know.
Based on that first leak, the Neos seem to be scheduled to be coming out right around now.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
If those documents are correct. And yeah, I don't think this is a fake PlayStation Slim because from what I understand, Eurogamer went out there and actually looked at it, turned it on, inspected it, and it's not just like some 3D printed shell like that
Yeah.
NX controller ended up being. It actually is a PlayStation 4. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be so September 7th is Sony's day to kind of clear all of this shit up, and give us an idea of what their next probably like 6 months to a year is gonna look like. Maybe even shorter, depending if they decide to cram it all into the next 3 months.
Yeah, they got to be smart about this, man.
Well, let's talking about Sony right now. Well, you got this PlayStation Plus boost in price.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So what is going on is the question. What is really going on with all this stuff? You have to question everything. So if they're boosting these prices, why are they boosting these prices?
Right.
What purpose does it serve? Most of the stuff that you get out of PlayStation Plus, I'd say there's maybe once or twice in the 12 months that you do it, you find a game that's maybe worth $30, and it's good to have because you have PlayStation Plus, and then you have all these other indie games that are so-so. And so you basically should have just bought that game and said screw PlayStation Plus. You
Yeah,
know?
but that's the thing. That's what sucks the most is they decided to incorporate the Microsoft model of if you want to play online, you got to have Plus.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, why are you boosting the prices for an already
Because they know they
loyal
can do it.
freaking fan base? I mean, PlayStation, it does happen, but most PlayStation players stay with PlayStation. I mean, we're smaller than Xbox, I'd say maybe, but most of them stay with PlayStation. They don't swap over very often, unless at least the hardcore gamers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like
I don't understand them.
the biggest problem with that is they didn't come out and say why they increased it. It was just like, we're just increasing it.
Yeah, they didn't. I
Like,
read
well,
the statement. There's really no explanation.
In my opinion, if you've had a PlayStation Plus, membership since the beginning, it's kind of like you do with everything else. You're grandfathered in.
Yeah.
If you continue to keep up that thing, it should stay the same price for you because you've been a loyal customer for God knows how many, how
agree.
long. If you've been a loyal customer for over like 2 to 3 years, all right, you know what? You're good. You keep the same prices that you've had the entire time. If you're a new PlayStation Plus member, all right, you have to pay this extra price, and that way you don't lose the people you already have, but you still manage to get the money that you want for the people that are just now joining.
Yeah,
But that's my opinion.
I imagine at some point they'd have to up that for everybody though. Like they could probably only do that for like a year or two at the most. That's what Netflix did when they upped their price. They were,
It's because their PlayStation Plus games are freaking bombing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the PlayStation Plus games. There's been a couple that I've enjoyed, but
Yeah, I mean there's a couple good ones here and there once in a while, but
I guess the question is, what do you play? What are you paying PlayStation Plus for? Like, are you paying it to have access to online multiplayer? Are you paying it to get the free PlayStation Plus games every month?
I mean that's
It all depends on what you're paying it for.
'Cause
Like,
I read-
I'm sure there's people out there that have loved every single one of these indie games that
I
have
do
come
it
out.
for both.
Okay.
I do it mostly just for the multiplayer. I'm one of those individuals.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean
I
like
do
you have
it
no
for
choice.
all encompassing,
Yeah.
I do it for both. I do it for online games. I love playing the online games, and I always go back to Battlefield and play Battlefield 4 a lot, just because I like shooting helicopters with a tank. But that's the type of person I am, but I also like getting the free games. I pop up and turn on my PlayStation 3, I turn on my PlayStation 4,
Mhm.
and I turn on my PlayStation Vita every single time and get all the free games
Hell
so
yeah,
that they're
dude.
in my registry
Yeah.
each month so I don't have to worry about it. And sometimes you do find some really good games in there that you may not have. Now, granted, maybe that if they want to keep money, get rid of the PlayStation 3 thing. You really want to get PlayStation 4 to sell out, stop giving out free games for PlayStation Plus for 3
Yeah.
and stop making the stuff that allows them to get that, get rid of it. You're done. We're done. We're not going to make any more. That cuts off an entire thing. You don't have to make any more PlayStation 3 games. You cut off a limb and you don't lose your fan base. Like I said, again, because majority of the people that have a PlayStation 3 don't even play it anymore. I have one, but I rarely turn it on, because you're coming out with 4K video versus what you have on your PlayStation 3. I mean, what would be the purpose of buying a game for a PlayStation 3 now? And the prices of the systems, as we were talking about the Slims, might be going down. That might be an aspect with it, So if you got the price of all this going down, what's the purpose?
Yeah, I guess
Just
the PlayStation 3 probably has a big install base, so they probably have a large amount of people that are paying for PlayStation Plus that only have a PlayStation 3
Yep.
and are happy to get the indie games that they're getting every
Oh no, the
every
PlayStation
month.
3, you get like free AAA games. Like it's not indies.
Okay,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get
I've
free
seen that,
AAA
yeah.
games.
Like you.
But they're not.
The
Nobody,
PS3
nobody's
PS3
making
old
games for
AAA
PlayStation
games.
3
No,
anymore.
they're
At least
not.
there isn't
not.
too many people, especially AAA developers, making games.
No,
for
they're like
PlayStation
older.
3.
They're
mean-
older AAA games. Like it's not.
Well, wasn't it a couple of months ago that somebody said that they were going to stop with all the stuff they were doing, and I think I just cut out.
Yeah.
No, we hear you.
So wasn't it a couple months ago that one of those companies said we're not going to be doing any more support for PlayStation 3 based of
Yeah.
this specific game, for server stuff. I mean, that's what they need to do.
Yeah, that's
we're done.
that's what a lot of companies are going down the road of. So yeah, I guess it would have been completely different if they had come out and said, "Hey, here's what's going on. This is why we're charging $10 more." Like
Yeah.
your download
Exactly.
speeds are going to be faster because the download speeds, at least for being on PlayStation, are really shitty.
Yeah, they are a lot of the time.
So like yeah, we're
Well, they are
gonna
for me.
we're gonna build so we're gonna make the downloads a little bit faster, or just network stability, or we're gonna try to get better PlayStation Plus free games or something like that. Like where are these first generation? Well, not first generation, but first round of exclusives
Yeah,
being
that's the thing,
PlayStation
dude.
Plus
Like,
games.
I mean, it was just I think just this year where they finally started giving some legit like AAA games in there. But I don't know, like, cause this puts them right up. Because they were always a little cheaper than what Microsoft was charging, but now they're right at the same, I believe, $60. I mean, and yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, all you're really being charged is the price of just one brand new game. Then you're all set for the year. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal in the long run, but.
I don't know if they explained the yearly prices. I thought when I saw the PlayStation Plus prices, it was for month based. How much they increased?
Yeah, it's both. They increased the yearly rate by $10 from $50 to $60, and they increased the 3-month price a little bit from like 20 to 25,
something like
that.
And
then
the 1 month
I saw
stayed the same.
29. I saw 29 when
All
I
right,
was
well,
looking at
it was an increase.
But if it's $60 a year, I'm not completely complaining versus 50. But still, it's something that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's just like get out there and even
But
if it's
here's
a bullshit explanation as to why you're increasing it by at all, just for a little bit of peace of mind.
But here's my thing. Even with a bullshit explanation or not, Ryan, do you think that this is going to cause the subscription numbers to go down, or do you think it would go down significantly, or do you think it's not really going to change much?
It's probably not going to change much.
Yeah.
See, that's
I think
what
it'll
I'm
go
getting.
down.
That's the thing, because
I think it'll go down a little.
like I said, if you want to play online, on PlayStation, you need this.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a choice like it used to be on the PS3. It used to be just like an optional thing. You'd get some free games every month and get some extra services. Nowadays, like, you need it. If you want to play online, you're screwed if you don't have it, and that's that. So,
I don't know.
I think it's going to go down a little bit just at the beginning and then come back after. You're going to have people are like, this is stupid, and then just not pay for a month or two, maybe 3, and then just come back,
Yeah, that's probably
because they
what'll
want to
happen.
play online.
Yeah. Or you'll see
that's
more
more than
people
likely
getting
what
like 1 month
PCs.
subscriptions or something.
yeah,
like
that too. Yeah. Which
you
you
Well,
you end up spending way more money in the long run doing
yeah.
that.
1 month is $9.99 according to this article,
Which is what it's always
the
been.
3 month is 25 or $24.99, and
Okay,
then
so
the
that's
6 the yearly is $59.99. I mean, well, $9.99, 6 months, you're already paying for your yearly thing. Why do that?
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Then again, people do things based on how much money they have at the time. So
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Speaking of games that require PlayStation Plus to play, Titanfall 2 has been in its technical alpha test or whatever the hell they're calling it. It was in it last weekend. They did one round, and then they're doing it again this weekend. And
I didn't.
Yes.
I missed out on that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going on right now. For the remainder of today, anyway. And
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've been playing it. I haven't been playing it on PlayStation. I've been playing it. I did play a little bit on PlayStation, but I played most of it on Xbox. That's where I played the first one.
Yep.
And I'm enjoying it, but some people aren't, and I don't quite understand what some of the complaints are that people are having with Titanfall 2. But for me, I'm actually enjoying getting back into it and getting into Titans and blowing shit up, killing other pilots and everything like that. It's a fun game. It's very, they didn't change it too much from what we were used to with the original, which I played quite a bit of for as long as people played that game, which wasn't very long.
Yeah, see, when I hear your opinion, because you're one of the people who played it a lot, it's not like you just started with 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like I said, I just keep hearing the gameplay is. I mean, you heard some of the dudes in the comments too. The gameplay is slower. They're copying Call of Duty. It's harder to get Titans, and I've never played Titanfall, so I'm just going by what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, so first off, I do agree with the Titan. Getting Titans is a little bit more difficult. In the previous game, you could just sit there and do nothing the whole game, and the Titan meter would slowly tick up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and at least in the bounty mode, that's not the case. You have to get kills, whether it be AI kills or other pilot kills.
Yep.
And depending on what kind of kill you get a little bit more. You get a little bit time taken off the timer. And then in this particular mode, you're also collecting bounties, which is apt. And what that is are these locations on the map that AI spawn, and then they're the target. Your goal is to shoot as many of them as you can, and then every kill you get some money added to your bounty. And then at the end of every wave, you go back to these designated banking spots and you deposit your money.
Oh, okay.
And that's another way that you get time taken off your Titan. You get the kills, and then you go back to these banks. You put the money in, and that takes time off the timer as well. And previously, like I said, getting kills would take it off quicker, but you could just sit there and eventually get your Titan. It was very slow, but there was an incremental cooldown on that. So yeah, that is definitely something that they changed, at least in that mode. They had 2 other modes. They had hardpoint mode, which is like Battlefield's Conquest, where you're capturing points and the enemy's trying to capture them back from you. No AI in that mode, which is a departure from the previous game. And then they had pilot versus pilot, which I haven't played at all. But that's obviously just pilots and pilots. There's no Titans in that mode.
Yeah.
And as far as like the mobility and everything, I didn't really notice any changes. One map in particular, the Homestead map, is a very open map. It isn't like this claustrophobic cities that we're used to in the first game. So like wall running and jumping from building to building is a little bit more difficult because there's big open areas.
Maybe that's why people are like they're
Yeah.
just not used to things being like more open. Different,
Yeah, there weren't
you know?
too many maps in the previous game, if any, that had big open areas like
Yeah.
that. So that is something different. So like if you're a sniper and you like sniping, that is probably going to be a good map for you because you're going to be able to pick people off from pretty much across the map. They do a okay job of breaking line of sight, so you can't get too crazy with it, which is, you know, basically what they did with all the other previous maps in the game was constantly break your line of sight with objects and buildings and structures and environmental things too. So you couldn't just sit in one spot and snipe down a lane and just keep killing people. You had to keep moving. You had to keep finding the enemy and stuff like that. So yeah, I can see that being an issue for some people. And the only other thing that really stood out to me was the grappling hook, which is a whole new mobility thing that they added. And it does take up a slot in your inventory, which I wish it was just a default thing that everybody had. But, you know, risk-reward kind of thing where you have to, do you want the grappling hook or do you want something else? Because there's like this sonar knife that you throw and it shows enemies through walls and stuff like that. So you have to choose a grappling hook or that.
No, you
So
can't have both.
You can't have both. At least in the beta. I don't know if they'll change it. But yeah, the grappling hooks is pretty good. It really speeds up climbing up buildings and getting to places that you couldn't get before. And it also speeds up getting on a Titan if you're a pilot. You could just grapple onto him and it zooms you right up to him.
There you go.
And yeah, they changed that a little bit. Rodeoing a Titan. When you get up there the first time, you pull a battery out of the Titan, and that takes a big chunk of their shield down or their armor down. And then you got to get back up on them every time you want to cause damage and throw a grenade inside this hole that you created when you pulled the battery out. Previously, you just jump on top of the Titan, rip a panel off the top, and just start shooting, just unload into the Titan, and there was no like, oh, you got kicked off of the Titan, now you got to get back on. So actually being a pilot on top of a Titan was almost like unfair to the Titan.
Yeah.
Because you could just keep shooting it until it was dead, basically. There were defenses that the Titan could have, but if you didn't have those equipped, you'd kind of be screwed.
Yeah.
So they balanced that out a little bit, so pilots can't be just like Titan destroyers. And yeah, I think that they tried to put as much new features in this beta as possible to try to test them out, see how people liked them. And I like specifically the bounty mode is fun because it kind of takes you away from the just traditional multiplayer shooter. Like there's a goal, there's something you're doing, there's points of interest. So like people tend to gravitate toward them.
Yeah.
So then you'll have a big firefight, then it'll be over, and then you'll go and you'll bank your money, and that'll be kind of like a downtime. Yeah, I'm liking what they're doing with it. They are taking feedback from the criticisms that they've been getting.
Yeah.
I played this weekend. I didn't notice too much that was different. Like I didn't notice a difference in the movement. As far as I can tell, you still don't get time in the bounty mode, not taking off your Titan just automatically. You have to be killing things. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the full game in the fall.
I unfortunately missed out on it. I haven't figured out how to get it downloading on mine. I did play the original like you did, which wasn't too much of an issue. And you're explaining how you play it, and I remember playing the game because I played it for a few months when it first came out, and it sounds like it's going to be a bit more fun than it was, even though the first one, in my opinion, was a lot of fun to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely anxious as well.
Yeah, what I like specifically about it is that it is a departure from like Call of Duty and Battlefield, where it's a big emphasis on movement, and you're not just sitting around waiting for somebody to come up on you. You're actively hunting them down. And that's what and then, of course, you have the Titans, which completely changes the battlefield. Once a Titan's in the zone, they become a point of interest that everybody's trying to take down. So then if you're a pilot on the ground, you can take advantage of that and, like, start shooting pilots that are trying to take the Titan down, trying to defend the Titan. And it's a cool mix-up to, you know, this kind of stale multiplayer formula that we've kind of gotten ourselves into with Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Yeah, if anything, Call of Duty's been trying to copy Titanfall's formula the last couple of games. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the industry as a whole is kind of looking at it a little bit and saying that kind of first-person movement works now with Doom coming out, with Doom having come out this year, and I see it with. Well, they're coming out with Quake Champions, which is another very fast-paced multiplayer game. So I think people are noticing that, hey, people like these quick games, these fast games, as opposed to Call of Duty, which is kind of slow by comparison. And we'll see what Infinite Warfare looks like, if it's quick or not.
Yeah, I bet you most people will be playing the the OG Call of Duty this fall.
Yeah, or Battlefield or something.
Yeah,
I'll be playing Battlefield 1.
That's my only concern, honestly, for Titanfall,
Definitely.
is that it's like right in between Call of Duty and Battlefield. I think they should just freaking delay it. But
yeah, I'm not sure why they're trying to cram it all into one month or whatever.
Because it's not just Call of Duty and Battlefield. We got a lot of games coming out around that time period that are going to be pretty popular.
Yeah, the only thing is that, like I said, it is a very different game. It is a different playing game than those other two types of games. So, like, I'm kind of interested in Battlefield 1. I'm going to play the beta, which is coming up next week, see how that feels. But if it comes down to those two, I'm picking up Titanfall, just because I like how that game plays better than previous Battlefields, and certainly better than Call of Duty.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let you know how Battlefield plays then, Ryan.
That's what I'll be getting as a Battlefield versus the Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, Battlefield's going to be like your, going back to basics, really. World War I type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you got Call of Duty and, like, space.
Yeah.
And then
Titanfall also in space, I guess.
Yeah, so.
There's going to be single player. There's no single player in this beta, but there will be a substantial single player campaign in Titanfall 2.
That should be interesting too.
We'll see how they pull that off. It looks pretty cool. There's some features you can check out. GameSpot and some other places. They had some big features on the single player and what they're doing with it. It looks pretty cool. Red, you want to give us your hot Pokemon minute?
With the Pokemon stuff, I see a lot of people working on getting their Pokedexes done for the new upcoming Sun Moon that's coming out in November, I believe it is. I'm not too keen on the way people cheat with it, unfortunately. But I mean, that's just me. I did hear that the Pokemon Go, I remember us talking about that before, that they fixed a lot of issues they were having with that, with people cheating via changing their GPS without even going anywhere.
Oh, okay.
So that's been fixed as well. But other than that, I mean, talking about the games, a lot of people are jumping back into those games, waiting for the new ones to come out. I think it's been a year, maybe a year and a half since the other two came out, the last two, Sapphire and Ruby. So we should see something interesting coming out of this next one, to see if they change the way the game runs or the way it looks and so forth.
That's
about it.
Does Sun and Moon have a definitive release date yet?
It's sometime in November. They do. I just don't know the exact date. I know it's in November. Let me check.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it was this year or next year.
It's this. It's November 18th, 2016.
Okay. So we'll have a traditional Pokemon game in November to maybe take the focus off of the mobile game.
Dude, I've heard the mobile game's player base has gone down quite a bit.
That
is
lot of sense.
actually accurate. It's gone down about 12 million.
Yeah, that's what
people.
it is. Yeah.
I mean, I heard it's still about 30 million people still playing it, but to have it go down that much is kind of concerning.
Well,
The
it got a
tail
big
on
hype
it.
at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
Everyone was trying it out.
It's
at
a
the beginning.
fad. That's what it is.
It had a little bit bigger of a tail than I thought it would. I was going to say 2 or 3 weeks. I'd say it probably had about a month of intense player base and people talking about it. But, yeah, I mean, I don't see nearly as many, hey, look, there's a Pokemon on my toilet pictures on Facebook or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that's usually a pretty good indication of that, hey, this probably isn't as popular as it was before.
I still see people walking down the street, and if you see them looking intently at their phone, it's like, dude, they got to be playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just the
same
way
here.
they're like, you know.
Oh, they are.
But I've had people tell me, like, I don't even have to go anywhere because I have Pokestops right in front of my house, and I can just catch them all right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, some people don't even have to go far to, like, you know, do their collecting. So
I was at a town fair last weekend, and there were a bunch of kids talking about, oh, throw a lure and stuff like that. So there are still some kids playing it out there.
Definitely.
But,
Definitely.
It's definitely not as prevalent as it was when it first launched. That's for sure. I think a lot of it probably has to do with the fact that they didn't do a very good job of updating it and keeping it, adding features to it or fixing broken features. But
Nintendo made their money, though.
yeah, accidentally.
Yeah.
Because they had absolutely nothing to do with
It was
it.
Niantic, not Nintendo.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the first part of this episode. When we come back, we're going to talk about some games. We've got Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and No Man's Sky.